Welcome back. She's 39 years old, immigrated with her parents from India when she was 6, went to Harvard and later MIT, and then came to Los Angeles about 7 years ago, where she started a nonprofit dealing with homelessness and the housing crisis. Early this month, Nithya Raman took the oath of office and is now a new member of the LA City Council representing the 4th District, including parts of Sherman Oaks, Silver Lake, Koreatown, and parts of Hollywood. She defeated incumbent David Ryu, the first person to unseat an incumbent city council person in decades. Councilmember Raman, thanks for taking the time. Congratulations. So you've said homelessness was by far the biggest issue of the campaign. How do you approach that issue now as a member of the council?
I think we can do a lot more to take on the issue of homelessness. I think we can do better at keeping people who are currently in their housing. That's through better tenants protections, making sure that people have the ability to actually exercise their rights as tenants. And that means having a right to a lawyer, making sure that people have access to emergency anti-eviction rental funds like rental assistance programs. We can do way better at addressing directly the needs of people who are already experiencing homelessness. We don't right now have a system of outreach and services that goes out regularly to people who are experiencing homelessness and make sure that they are able to navigate a very long and confusing path from living in an encampment to actually getting into a shelter or getting into housing or getting into mental health services or substance abuse treatment. We can set that system up, and I think we can do it in a way that uses the same amount of money that we're using right now. And I think if we can change that, we can really transform homelessness. The final piece of it is I think we need to build more affordable housing, deeply affordable housing. And we've talked a lot on the campaign trail about different ways of doing that.
And you've already introduced 2 motions on that topic. What do they entail? Yes,
so they really talk about service provision. It talks about how outreach is done in the city and asks the city LAHSA, which is our Homeless Services Authority here in the city and county, and asks county departments to tell us exactly how that outreach is being conducted and to reimagine a way of doing outreach that really is proactive, consistent, and responsive to people's needs at the neighborhood level.
To what degree is homelessness about our inability to deal with a mental health crisis and addiction?
I think that there is certainly people who are experiencing homelessness who both have mental health issues and substance abuse issues. And I think what we fail to do is to create a response to homelessness that really takes those on in an effective way. I think we can do a lot better. One question I would often ask on the campaign trail was, how frequently does a trained mental health caseworker go out to an encampment? How often do they have the opportunity to build relationships of trust with people who are experiencing mental illness? The answer is not that much. And if we are really determined to take on this issue, I think we have to make sure that those systems are really being developed. And I really want to see that happen.
What metric, how will we know your approach is working?
You know, I think that's a hard question in the context of the economic crisis that we're going through right now. I predict that over the next few months, we are going to see a rise in people falling into homelessness because of personal economic hardship. But my hope is that we can really see progress, that we will see fewer people living in encampments, more people being able to stop that fall into homelessness, and a reduction in the numbers overall. And I think it is a goal that is both possible and absolutely worth fighting for.
So there have been efforts in the legislature to force cities to build density housing along transit lines. Opponents said that was an assault on existing neighborhoods. Should zoning for single-family homes be eliminated in Los Angeles?
It's really hard for me to talk about this in a very broad level. I spoke out against SB 50, which was a law that came out, or a law that was proposed in Sacramento that did try to eliminate this kind of zoning. Other kinds of pieces of legislation that have come down from Sacramento that talk about zoning have seemed more appropriate to what Los Angeles is. And I think that does involve greater density, particularly, as you said, along transit lines, along commercial corridors. These are places where we can build more densely and where we can be building the kind of housing that is very hard to build right now in Los Angeles. I'm talking about deeply affordable housing. I'm talking about smaller units, units that may not even have parking spaces attached to them, because each parking space that you add to a unit increases the cost of construction and makes it more expensive when it comes to market. I think we can make it significantly easier to build deeply affordable housing in Los Angeles. It is a very long process that is often slowed down by interactions with the city. We can do better on this. And I think we must do better in order to be able to make sure that people who are exiting homelessness or people who are on the verge of falling into homelessness have a place that they can go to and afford.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. What should people know?
Well, I've been here since 2013, and the work that I've done here has really been focused on housing and homelessness, which I think is one of LA's biggest crises as we look forward. I'm a trained urban planner. The work I've done throughout my career has focused on both issues facing the most vulnerable urban residents and on building coalitions that can really bring about change. And that is exactly what I want to do in office, is to make sure that we are taking on LA's biggest challenges and building the kinds of coalitions that can make sure that policies are successful locally. And I'm very, very excited to do that.
And Nithya Raman, a new member of the Los Angeles City Council, thanks for taking the time and good luck.
Thank you.
And Happy New Year.
Thank you. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Of course, the primary responsibility for the city is public safety. What do the people of Los Angeles think of the job being done by the LAPD? A new survey is out from Loyola Marymount University. That when we return.